Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing Challenger mode and some issues that I just have with the mode in general. This was a video that I intended to put out last season, but I had to change how I was going to approach this video, in part because initially I was just going to be non-stop criticizing it, but after putting a community poll, I have had a different approach in which I'm just going to be talking about how I think I would improve the mode, because as it stands, I do not like it. Challenger mode made its unexpected return near the end of last season and made for a rather unpleasant experience for many trying to end the season on a good note. After playing pretty poorly over the first 3 days of the event, two of which included me heavily tanking twice, I gave up on the season because of my bad trophy count, spent the weekend playing Pokemon, and put up a poll regarding people's thoughts on the mode in the community tab. To go over the results very quickly, this is the breakdown of the votes. The most prominent opinion by far was that the mode could be fine but needed improvements. Next was that people liked it as is, which I respect your opinion, but I'm obviously not going to be taking that route here. They would like it versus a different character or early in the season was the third one. I do not like it was the fourth most option, and the fifth one was having it as a separate mode, which I'm a little bit surprised was that low, but just given how Challenger mode works, I do understand why having it as a different mode wouldn't really work. Admittedly, given the reaction to the event in the Hardlight server and people's reaction to the bot in general, I expected more votes for people that did not like it. But either way, I'll be primarily focusing on this point, just addressing some of the common complaints I've seen, some of the ones I personally haven't, whether or not I think these are feasible changes that can be made. Be warned, this is also possibly going to be devolving into me complaining about Infinite in general, so be prepared for that, I guess. So if you've been living under a rock or you haven't played in a while, there's this red dude that shows up in every game when Challenger mode is active. Before the initial event, he sometimes showed up, then he started appearing in every game. Then he went away after you could start playing as him yourself, and now he's back. Even though he's playable, which in my opinion kind of takes away from the hype, but I digress. The bot doesn't gain or lose any trophies in the game trees like a 3-person race. Finishing first or second gives you an infinite chest, which takes 30 minutes to open and gives you roughly the rings of a silver chest alongside 10 to 26, I think it is, in terms of infinite cards. Fairly simple structure, and honestly, these chests are actually pretty valuable. I've gotten hundreds of thousands of rings, and certainly people are able to get their infinites leveled up in conjunction with the event, which is necessary given how many cards this guy needs. Aside from this, though, I find the structure of it rather flawed, or at least the execution. As mentioned before, some of these things I think can be fixed, some others might be difficult. But to start off, I'm going to go over the biggest issue I think people have with it, which is what it does to the trophy system. To be the bearer of bad news, if this is what you do not like about Challenger mode being there, then you might be out of luck. To put it simply, in exchange for not being able to get fourth, you get less for all the other positions. The minimum for first is a +3, and the most you can get is a -21. This might not sound so bad, that's only worse than normal when you can't get those ugly -30s, but you'll be running into those trophy counts a lot more frequently because of how many players are present. For example, if you're in tier 10 and run into 3 players with the same trophy count as you and you win, you'll get a +18. However, the bot is present, you therefore run into 2, you only get a +12 if you win. I don't have any screenshots proving this, but take my word for it as I've experienced both. What many people don't realize is that this trophy system has always been present if you were to run into a singular bot. Running into a singular bot is excessively rare, and in general, it's just a trophy system that's already in place being adjusted for 3 players. We can get into a debate about the trophy system in general, but to put it to be short, it can be frustrating, but I do think it does its job for the most part. It's kind of a necessary evil to be weighted like this because if you don't make a trophy system like this, then it becomes too based on volume, and I think that just kind of takes away from the point of it. I personally don't think the problem is the trophy system. I think that the matchmaking can be a little bit rude by putting you with people 1,000 trophies below you, but that's really a separate problem from the spots. If everyone in a race is in tier 10, the net trophies gained and lost by everyone is 0. That is the case with the bot, and that is the case without the bot, and that is why everything feels less rewarding. This is why I had one of the options to, if you have it in the game at all, potentially have it earlier in the season. Right now, it's still present, and it's not as annoying because things don't really matter as much. If not being able to climb consistently with a trophy system in place is the issue on top of it just not being likely, then perhaps having it just earlier would be better. Just so that things start mattering, you're playing normal 4-player games with a normal trophy system. If it was earlier in the season or even mid-season, I think it also in that case it might be better if it wasn't in every single race, although I do understand that this is a double-edged sword. People do get tired of this bot after a while. I think right now people are just begging for it to go away. And if it doesn't appear in every race, though, it's easy to get chests that aren't the challenger chests, which come with a nice sum of cards and rings. Either way, though, when this thing is present for 2 weeks, after a while, you just want the bot to go away and you just want to hop into a 4 player race and you miss it. So maybe having both of them be an option wouldn't be the worst idea ever. Having the event not be as long on top of that would also be pretty nice. It seems people had more than enough time to get the goals they needed. Either way, and this was also mentioned in the comments of my poll, but one fewer player being around also seems to make things easier for Werehog's Infinites and high-level Supersonics, who often when they lose it's because of repeated cheap shots, and the bot does not provide this very often. While these are all characters that often need to be nerfed to the ground as is, the differing playstyle forced upon you is just not very appreciated, and it just changes things too drastic during crunch time. I just think that at the end of the season, there just needs to not be any gimmicks that could heavily change the season. The other problem is that this bot in general is incredibly obnoxious and, in my opinion, just not that fun to play against. Not because it's competent, but rather because of the exact opposite. As it's an infinite bot who's rather broken. It's maxed out, which makes it even worse. That plays rather illogically, which is just annoying. I've had multiple races where it hits me and only me immediately with the reality warp and then doesn't do anything for a while. Because Infinite's effects aren't blocked on shields, in my experience, also, if I get hit by something else, the Infinite bot's probably there to give me the effect while I'm recovering, and just making things even harder to catch up. Versus a Werehog, this can be enough for you to lose to it. He'll often get far enough ahead of everyone with his boost, where everyone just has to boost for a while, kind of taking the game out of the player's hands for a bit. And most frustratingly, if he boosts into you, you probably lost, and he often seemingly goes out of your way to do so. I know I said that this thing doesn't really cause cheap shots, but that doesn't really apply to it ramming into you with the boost. Heck, it might ram into you with the boost in first and cause you to lose first, and I've seen this thing hit me with the boost, and then it loses, and then I get third. Extremely annoying. This bot also has a ton of handicaps. The bot doesn't seem to lose any rings when he uses the boost. I've seen this guy still going at full speed once it ends. If you freeze him, hit him with Bubble Bomb, hit him with an Audio Soul or whatever, he can still use attacks. If you don't see him collect anything, he'll still be using his boost at full power. That boost seems to last much longer than most other infinite boosts, which is saying something because that boost is extremely long-lasting as is. And I've even seen this guy get a boost immediately after another one ends on my screen. In fact, I've seen this guy use a boost in first after his boost ends, which is ridiculous. The fact this bot loses at all is a testament to the fact that, I'm sorry if this sounds rude, the bot doesn't seem to be all that well programmed. It'll constantly run into walls, miss dash pads, and I've seen it fall off cliffs even. It'll almost never dodge an attack aimed at it, even if it's very obviously aimed at it like 5 seconds ago. If it was like, I don't know, a Modern Sonic or something as a bot, I don't think it would ever not come in last. I'd rather the bot be like actually good at playing the game and not relying on massive handicap, both in terms of the character and the further advantages it gets, in order to do anything. There seem to be only two scenarios with the bot. The first is that it gets fourth by a mile, probably just running into everything every time it tries to boost. And the other scenario is that it is boosting near the end, and it gets whatever placement it managed to clutch boost to, assuming that it doesn't have any further interruptions from there. General knowledge of the tracks and make it aim for dash pads and not hit stuff. Have it react to something that might be in front of it in a discernible amount of time. And just in general improving the AI where it might do okay on its own. I'm not a huge guy on AI programming, but with 24 available tracks, I can't imagine it would be impossible to get a general Pathfinder. But in general, I just think that it might be more challenging if it was like an actually good bot as opposed to a bot that just has a ton of advantages to try to keep up. As it stands, though, this bot just tends to be a nuisance that doesn't really contribute anything or contributes way too much, and I just think that it's not very fun in this manner. For better or worse, it does appear that there's going to be more challengers on the way. It did seem like in the description of the mode that there was going to be more than one, so we're probably going to end up getting more down the line, and they'll probably be introduced in a similar manner. They wouldn't introduce a whole new rarity just to restrict it just to Infinite after all. Either way, though, if it plays anything like this, I am definitely not looking forward to it, and I'm really hoping that some improvements can be made if they end up continuing going with this route. And once again, I'm really hoping Hardlight can push out a balanced patch in order to address a solid chunk of the characters released last year. As when combined with the bot, I saw a lot of people calling this their least favorite season ever, Warhog Infinite and high level Supersonics are still making the game very repetitive and restrictive. It'd be a lot more fun for everyone if they could just climb with their favorites. And I do think that the Infinite bot is definitely highlighting this, in part because, well, people are getting their Infinites high leveled, and even right now, early in the season, it's very difficult to find any games without really full Infinite lobbies, borderline. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time for something. I honestly don't have a schedule. See you guys then.